Good morning, folks. This is Deb, and this is a short take of sorts. So, this is Labor Day, and there's hardly anything to celebrate on Labor Day 2025. I'm going to say some things that people don't want to hear. I really am sorry, but they have to be said. The number one thing I'm saying is this: the America we knew is not coming back, at least not anytime soon. Okay? Even if we prevail in 2026 and get to 2028 and have a Democratic president, it's going to take decades to fix what Donald Trump has done to this country. In just 6 short months, he has taken a nation that has taken hundreds of years to build and destroyed the very foundations of everything this country has stood for. And we, the people, have sat back and allowed this to happen because we saw Donald Trump 1.0, and that was bad enough. Okay? We saw it. We saw people die of COVID that didn't need to die of COVID because of the misinformation that his administration and RFK Jr. spread. Okay? We watched on January 6, 2021, as he tried to overthrow the US government to retain power. We listened to all of his lies about the election being stolen, and yet we found it in our hearts to return this asshole to the White House. Now, I don't want to hear the election was stolen. Until someone can prove to me that that is actually the case, something we can take to court and fight, that's bullshit. Essentially, what we had in November of 2024 were people who thought this was never going to happen, even though he promised it was going to happen, and 90 million people who chose not to vote. That was the landslide in America. Did not vote. So don't come out here and whine on social media if you didn't bother to go vote. Okay? I heard people say they weren't going to vote because it was the run-up to the election was too much of a shit show. What we have here right now is far beyond what a shit show actually is. What we have here right now is 1938 Germany, whether you want to accept it or not. So let's talk about it. We're supposed to be celebrating Labor Day from a guy who has no respect for the American worker whatsoever. A man who has stiffed American workers on his own personal project. A man who does not believe in unions. A man who does not believe in worker rights. In fact, he doesn't believe in anybody's rights. Okay? We live in a country where he is sending troops in to blue states. He's using the American military against its own citizens in direct defiance of the Constitution. But that's okay because the Supreme Court will take care of him. Because he stacked that Supreme Court so he could do just exactly what he's doing here. What he did with the Supreme Court was intended to go well beyond Roe v. Wade. And that is what is happening here. And now we have John Roberts claiming that he's worried about Trump stretching the boundaries. Screw him. He knew exactly what he was doing when he gave Donald Trump immunity. He knew exactly where this would end up. So did Clarence Thomas. So did Amy Coney Barrett. So did Neil Gorsuch. And so did Kavanaugh. They all knew. And they were part and parcel to this massive, massive overthrow of democracy. Okay? So that's bull. He's now threatening Chicago. He's threatened Boston, where I live. And he's claiming that he's sending these troops in because there's crime that he needs to solve. The people he's criminalizing are homeless people. That's what he's doing now. Now the homeless are his targets. He's already targeted immigrants and people of color. So now the next are people living on the streets. Those people are now going to be criminalized. That's what he's using the military for. Except in D.C., right now, do you know what they're doing in D.C. right now on your taxpayer dollars? They're picking up crap in parks, trash, rubble, because he's gotten rid of the park service. He's decimated the park service. Now we're using the National Guard to do that. In Los Angeles, according to him, he had to send those troops in to prevent the city from being burned down. That was a flat-out lie. That was a flat-out lie. There was absolutely no evidence of that. I have friends that live there that were going to work every day unscathed. That is total bullshit. And let me tell you something else. There's a video out there of a former a veteran saying that if Donald Trump tells the military to fire on unarmed protesters, they're going to tell him to fuck off. Well, let me remind you of something. I would love to believe that. I would love to believe that. But I want to remind you that back in 1970, the National Guard did just that. It turned its guns on school kids at Kent State University and killed 4 of them and wounded 13 others. And I know right now that our military is full of MAGA and white supremacists. Because when the Democrats wanted to root those people out of the police and the military, the Republicans blocked that bill. We had 300,000 people at least in this nation that did not need to die of COVID. And yet the man who led the charge on anti-vax bullshit is now running our CDC, which looks like a joke. We have measles now spreading across the nation. When will polio be back? In Massachusetts now and in 15 other states, CVS can't give out COVID vaccines to anybody, even with a prescription, because there's some kind of red tape that has to be crossed on the Republican side of the aisle. And Bill Cassidy, who was the head of that committee, is asking for it to be delayed indefinitely. So the man who sat in front of the Senate and lied to them about not taking vaccines away is doing just that. Because all you freaking senators out there on the Republican side of the aisle believed what he was saying. That he would use good science. He's using no science. He's a goddamned attorney. He's a bottom feeder. He has no medical background, and yet we managed to vilify Anthony Fauci, a man they now want to put in prison. For what? For saving people's lives? We have a government who claims to be rounding up criminals who have come into our country. He's not rounding up criminals who have come into our country. He's rounding up anybody who's come into our country that isn't the right color. If you're white and rich, though, you can come in. You just can't come in if you want to build a better life for yourselves. You're going to be considered a criminal. And yet, he is an adjudicated rapist and a 34-time convicted felon, and he's sitting in the White House. He has a lot of goddamn nerve calling anybody else a criminal. And so does the Republican Party. Shame on you. And now with his big, beautiful bill, which, by the way, you may not be feeling it now because the Republicans deliberately put the worst of this bill off to take effect after the midterms so that you make sure you vote them back in. Oh, it's not that bad, so what the hell? It's not affecting me. Well, guess what? It will. The Republican Party does not belong back in office. None of them. There are no good Republicans. None. Because if there were good Republicans, they could stop what Donald Trump is doing right now. They're in the majority. They are in the majority. And instead, what did they do? They let everybody go home early from the house to protect a pedophile and block the Epstein files from being released. Look at what you have returned to office, my friends. Either by voting or not voting. Because those who didn't vote are just as guilty of this as those who voted for him. Look at the man sitting in the White House now. Shame on you. Shame on all of you. Nobody wants to hear it. No, nobody wants to hear that. I know. But you know what? What are you doing today? You having a cookout? Well, you know what? This is Labor Day. You should be on the streets. That's where you should be. That's where I'm going. You should all be on the streets today, making it known that this is not okay. This is fascism. There's no more wait and see. Now he's threatening Chicago, threatening Boston. He's sending the military into blue states, claiming there's crime. He should take a look at the red states. The crime rates are higher in the red states because the blue states spend more money on policing than the red states do. And you should be telling your governor, if you're in a blue state, to fight back, okay? Now he's worried about the midterms. So what's he doing? He's trying to gerrymander Texas even more than it already is so he can pick up 5 House seats. And every Democratic governor should be doing what Gavin Newsom is doing and doing the same thing in their states. Yes, nobody likes gerrymandering, but you know something? This is not just a political thing anymore. You do not bring a goddamn garden hose to a conflagration, okay? You fight fire with fire. That's what you do. If we are going to survive as a nation, that is what you do. Because I'll tell you what, even if today Donald Trump were impeached, which will never happen, even though he should be impeached, he has done a whole mess of things in his first 6 months that are impeachable. But the Republicans will not do that. But even if he were today, it would take decades to get this country back. Decades, because the next guy in office is J.D. Vance, and he's already consolidating power. Get a clue, America. Seriously. Donald Trump may be sick, and he may die in office, but that doesn't mean we're out of the woods. Far from it, because there are, read my lips, no good Republicans. Because if there were, we would not be here today. We have plenty of fascist Republicans, and we have plenty of cowards who keep their mouths shut to save their own asses. But we don't have any good Republicans in office. Some of you not feeling the pinch from the big, beautiful bill yet? Well, the fact of the matter is some people are. The farmers are. Because killing U.S. aid was 30% of their business. And the tariff problem, let me give you a clue. Farmers aren't buying equipment right now. They have no idea what they're going to do with their bumper crops because there's no deal with China. Another big piece of their business. You will all be feeling the effects of the big, beautiful bill. He is taking health care away from 17 million people, the most vulnerable Americans. That's not what America's all about, no matter what the right wing is telling you. It never has been. He's doing all of this. He's getting rid of tax credits for clean energy, which means your electric bill is going up. I've already gotten a notice on mine. Do you think for a nanosecond that they're going to absorb that? That's not the way this works. They pass that on to you, the consumer. I don't know how you're doing at the food store, but the man who said he was going to lower food prices on his first day in office, what I was paying $149 for a week for 2 people is now $198 every week for 2 people. The only thing that's changed that I'm doing is the prices. I haven't changed anything I'm buying. And you will be seeing shortages all across this nation on a variety of goods, including food. Because RFK Jr. doesn't believe in science, you will be seeing measles. When will polio be back? What about the next pandemic? Do you think that COVID is going to be the only pandemic that ever hits us? As global warming gets worse, another little gem that the Republican Party doesn't believe in. As soon as that gets worse, there's going to be more disease here than ever before. And none of these people believe in science of any kind. By the way, kudos to Newton, Massachusetts, who is requiring that children be fully vaccinated before returning to school this month. The only way you get out of that is with a medical exemption or a religious exemption. Other than that, parents don't have an option in Newton but to send their children fully vaccinated with proof. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it was with my children growing up. I did not see that as an infringement on my personal freedom. I saw that as public health. My kids are alive and well. There are not millions of people dying from vaccines. That's a lie. We have no more allies that respect us anywhere. We have thrown the Ukraine under the bus and given that to Putin. We are sitting back as Benjamin Netanyahu commits genocide in Gaza so that Donald Trump and his little crony buddies can develop the Gaza Strip for the rich and famous. That's what's going on here in America, folks. That's what's going on here. Donald Trump is selling off our land, national parks. He wants to sell off national parks to be developed. There is no end to his grift. There is no end to his perversion. Do you think he's covering up the Epstein files for any reason other than the fact that there's proof in there of what he truly is? Are you kidding me? The man who campaigned on releasing the Epstein files. That should never go away. That should never go away. As soon as everybody gets back in office after this break, that needs to start up again. He can't even keep his lies straight. According to Pam Bondi, they were sitting on his desk waiting to be reviewed. Now they don't exist. Or the Democrats are making it up. Or the Democrats wrote it. Whatever lie works at the time and whatever lie is swallowed by the American people is what he will use. Those files are being covered up for a reason. And now we have a woman who sold young children to pedophiles sitting in a cushy prison. She had absolutely no right to be moved from where she was to where she is. You can bet there was a quid pro quo there. And for the women who say that she shouldn't be in prison until the men are in prison, shame on you too. Shut the fuck up, really. What could be more loathsome than an adult woman selling young girls to pedophile men? Spare me that bullshit. Yes, a victory of sorts, I guess. They have to close Alligator Alcatraz, a virtual prison camp, an internment camp. Okay? They have to close that. Do you think they're releasing those people, even though more than 75% of them are not criminals? They're not. They're moving them to other gulags, like in Louisiana or in Texas. And they are continuing to send the military in to round up people. People they call criminals who just wanted to come here for a better life. You know what? There's 355 million people in America. By all counts, 11 million are undocumented. They're not illegal because we stole this land from the Native Americans. So there are no illegal people on stolen land. There are 11 million undocumented people who pick our crops every day, build our houses every day, clean our houses every day, paint our houses every day, do our yards every day. Those who aren't real, true criminals should be given a path to citizenship. And then we could have had, by the way, a border bill under Biden, but Donald Trump didn't want that because he wanted to do this. So he could look good to his MAGA buddies. In a country full of 355 million people, 11 million people more, that's a drop in the bucket. Do you think white people are going to go out and pick crops? They're only going to go out there and pick crops if they're forced to do it. We've already heard some of the Republicans say, why can't kids go out and do that? Do you think rich people are going to do that for you? Spare me, okay? Child labor is going right down the tubes in this country. So there's no reason to celebrate Labor Day. We already have plenty of red states who have gotten rid of their child labor law, so we have kids working till 10, school kids. School kids, I mean not high school kids either, lower than that, working till 10 and 11 o'clock at night. Kids working in meatpacking plants. 16-year-olds have died in meatpacking plants in red states. So for all of you people who now no longer want to look at this because it's too much for you to handle, so you're going to drop out, let me just say this. Shame on you. Shame on you if you didn't vote. Shame on you if you're dropping out now. because you're going to leave it to the rest of us to carry you on our backs. This is your country. Don't tell me to continue to fight the good fight in your absence. I don't want to hear it. I've heard that from several people now in the last couple of weeks who just cannot handle it anymore. I'm sorry it's tough to hear, but you know what? This is our country, and we should never have been taking it easy to begin with. And as for women who support Republicans and this administration, because I see them all over Twitter, shame on you. Shame on you. You must consider yourself below men. You must consider yourself second-class citizens. Shame on you. There's something wrong with you. There is something wrong with you. And nobody even flinches anymore when there's mass shootings. Nobody cares because there's too many other bad things going on here. Tuning out and dropping out is not an option. Waiting and seeing is no longer an option. It is all hands on deck. And please, if you don't want to participate, don't. But don't come back on social media and whine, okay? Because I don't want to hear you. I'll talk to you later.